Good afternoon. Now then, this is our penultimate session for today. It's got a great title, Unleashing the Potential, Exploring Esports Events as a Lucrative Market. It's going to be really interesting. So thank you so much for coming along. It is being recorded, it is being uploaded, and it's been uploaded onto the platform called Haia. And funnily enough, today's session is chaired by the co-founder of Haia, Mr. Tom Burke. So Tom's going to come and say a few words. They will have a panel discussion with our experts. By all means, ask any questions, either during or later on. We've got 45 minutes. So without further ado, let's introduce, please, and let's welcome from Haia itself to Tom Burke.
Thank you, Mark. Hiya, everyone. We chose that name for a reason, obviously. So really, Haia, as you can see from the event today, was initially founded as like a corporate events platform where you've got multiple stages happening at the same time, allow people to jump between them really easily when they're watching it online, and have hybrid elements as well. But as we came out of the pandemic, we noticed the whole kind of corporate events market had changed slightly, and it was just a little bit harder than it was during the pandemic. So we started to explore other avenues, and almost by accident, we were discussing esports one day. A few of the team really enjoyed esports. And a light bulb moment happened because we were like, actually, is there any event platforms out there at the moment doing anything with esports? Obviously, there's Twitch and YouTube and things like that. And we're like, no, not really. And then the next light bulb moment happened when we realized that esports is kind of multi-streaming. So there may be 5, 6 competitors, a lot more sometimes. And Haia allows for that quite easily. So what we're doing right now is I'm finding out as much as I can about esports because I'm not kind of from that world myself. Some of the team are. I wanted to find out much more about it, find out how businesses can get involved in it. So I thought I'd invite a panel of experts who are all in the esports world, not only for myself, but for everyone else here, and ask some great questions, myself hopefully, and then for you guys to ask questions at the end as well. So I'm going to sit down now and join them and let them do most of the talking. But thanks for coming along. Okay, so I'll introduce my panelists. We've got John Jackson, the CEO of Esports Wales. Next to John, we've got Emma Rose, who's a 2-time medal winner for in esports in the Commonwealth and the Europeans. And at the end, we've got Chloe Page, who is an influencer and will be able to talk to us about that side of it, introducing the esports and streaming in general. So I'm going to ask each of you if you could just give us like a brief introduction about yourselves, how you got into it, and your story so far. So, John.
Hello. So I'm John Jackson. I run Esports Wales. I would say probably I've got into esports around the sort of 2000 mark, sort of playing Counter-Strike 1.6 in my school, and then moving into sort of getting a career in tech. We're always having sort of a Welsh community on the side, a gaming community, getting involved with friends or playing with sort of other people over the years. And then that started Esports Wales, which in the last 5 years now have grown to be the national body of esports within Wales, and we're taking teams around the world playing in world championships in places like Bali, Romania, Sweden, sort of Montenegro, and a lot more. So it's grown massively over the last 5 years, and hopefully it continues to grow with the help of companies like Haia supporting us.
Yeah, I'm Emma, or MZ, 2 times champion, I guess, of esports. I won a gold medal at the Commonwealth playing for Northern Ireland. Should I say who I beat in the final? Probably not, but they are sitting beside me. And then silver medal. Silver medal's great because I also then went on to represent GB with another Welsh athlete where we brought home the silver medal at the European Games, which was the first ever Olympic sanctified esports event. And I have a lovely trophy sitting on my shelf at home. But for me, I was bullied a lot as a kid. I'm trans, if you didn't know. If you didn't know, what? So gaming was always my escape, and eventually I just found out that I was good at it because I spent enough time on it that I had better been good at it. And I got the opportunity to go and play professionally, and the rest is history. I now travel around and talk about esports and diversity in esports, and I'm a signed player for EIFC for 7 a.m. So fun times.
Thanks. So I'm in the completely different opposite way to M, where I'm actually not a professional gamer. I'm a variety streamer. My name is Chloe XO. I'm on multiple platforms. I've kind of gained a following of about 150,000 followers across social media. Mainly stream on Twitch. I'm kind of partnered with companies like MSI, and I work in so many different industries like tech, and I play about with PCs, computer systems, peripherals. Like, there's so many different avenues that I've kind of explored, but I'm just a glorified influencer at the end of the day with a massive following, I guess. But I just want to show the world that women are amazing and can be just as talented in this industry. And yeah, go women in esports. Yeah.
Thanks. And I think we'll come back to that one shortly. But I think for the benefit of some of the people watching and maybe some of the people in the audience, it'd be really good if, Emma, you could give us a quick overview of what exactly esports is.
I thought you come to me instead of the man who runs the entire esports in the country. So esports is competitive gaming. At the highest level, it's hyper competitive, and it sort of takes away the casualness of just picking up a controller and playing. Like, you can be a casual. Everyone, I imagine, is a casual gamer, right? There's so many gamers in the world now that it's hard to find someone who's not. But for esports, it's more about the intricacies. So like, you can be really good at a game and go and play someone who's pro at esports in the same game and get absolutely slapped because they know the meta tactics, they know all the little like intricate tricks and the not so fun ways of playing a game that make you better at playing the game. But ultimately, esports is just competitive gaming, whether it's on your own or as a team of 1 to 6, I think is the highest. 11 with pro clubs, yep, because you all in EAFC you can play as an individual player in pro clubs, which is really fun, really toxic, but really fun. And yeah, you have a full team behind you. You have coaches, you have managers, you have wellness coaches, and yeah, it's like any sports team basically. You got your Arsenal, your United, Liverpool for football fans in the house. Esports is pretty much growing to the same level, but in gaming rather than a traditional sport.
Yeah, one of the things that MZ told me when we first met is it's a bit like a secret club that people outside of esports don't really know about, but people inside obviously do. And it made me think, what are the kind of statistics around that? Crazily, there's around 600 million people expected to watch esports this year alone. It's absolutely huge. It's the biggest kind of secret club that the world has, really.
Stop talking about it.
I know.
It's a secret.
And I keep using that quote whenever I talk about esports, so thanks, Emma. In terms of esports in Wales, John, how does that look at the moment, and what kind of support do you get? And beyond that, how can you attract businesses to come involved in it?
So, for the Wales side, it's very new. Like, when I say very new, like, I've been playing esports games for years. But as you said, it's that secret club that no one's probably realised it's growing. We do have some sort of amazing talent in Wales. Like you said, we've got silver medal. We also had a team that won gold medal in the Commonwealth Games for Rocket League. We also had the player who went out to represent GB, won bronze medal in the Commonwealth Games. We've taken teams to last year in the World Championships, which ended up top 16 in the world, top 32 in the world. So there's talent here in Wales, and it's about showcasing that talent, giving those opportunities and those pathways through and the development, how we can get that grassroots, develop on them, sort of build that in. So in Wales, we're sort of making progress, but it's been slow at the moment, and sort of allowing businesses to realise that there's opportunities to not only reach Welsh audience, but opportunities to reach across the world and showcase Wales as a sort of centre of that, and how we can develop that forward.
Brilliant, thanks, John. And I've been told by a number of people that John is doing a really good job to push that forward in amongst the esports organisations. So thank you for that, and keep it up. And anyone who wants to get in touch about that, reach out to John afterwards. Chloe, one for you now. So as an influencer, how much of what you do is esports centric? And also, how did you get into that in the first place?
So I wouldn't say that I'm massively, because I'm not a massively competitive gamer, whereas the esports, I mean, not on the level that some people play it at. I mean, when I stream and play a game, I'm not playing it to a competitive level like some of the experts like that are out there, but I play the games to kind of, I want to say enjoy them, but esports, the people that are competing at the top levels definitely still enjoy the games, whereas I'm more of a variety streamer. I've been streaming on Twitch and TikTok and YouTube for around 4 years now, so it's just another world. And I mean, I've been watching Twitch since it was just in TV, and it's a completely different like life out there. Basically, like you come out into the real world, almost like leave and escape your room, and you think, oh my god, there is a room and there's like space in an IRL place for us to just hang out, and it is just a completely, it's like a scary world. I mean, I enjoy what I do. I love what I do. I'm a variety streamer. I speak to companies. I work with different brands. But at the end of the day, like I've built this community around me, and it's just another world on there, honestly. I just love what I do, and working with companies and playing the different games and meeting new people and just making sure that my community is an inclusive and friendly place for people to just hang out. So wouldn't change it for the world. Got into full-time streaming kind of 2 years ago, and it was an accident. I was made redundant just before COVID, actually. So yeah, it changed my life for the better, definitely. Brilliant.
And how do companies actually reach out to you?
Sorry, how do
companies reach out to you? You know, if they want to, you spoke earlier in a separate conversation about how you'd been doing some TikTok for Specsavers. How do they get in touch with you in the first place?
So I think because I've kind of developed a somewhat of following now, and there are loads of little marketing agencies out there, and your name kind of gets spread out, and people know you by name now. So a lot of emails, a lot of working on social media, a lot of LinkedIn, believe it or not. LinkedIn, I work on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Discord. I'm on so many different social medias. So I think it's probably about 15 different social medias to keep up with. And I do it all by myself as well. I also have a stream team as well with another like 25 people. So I'm managing that as well. And yeah, like I went to an event last weekend, or the weekend just gone. It was EGX, and I was working with Specsavers, and you don't think that Specsavers are going to be reaching out into the gaming industry, but it's such an untapped platform, and so many companies don't actually realize the scope of what gamers can do and content creators, and the reach that we actually have to kind of benefit the platforms. Like I'm working with MSI, one of the biggest chains in technology, and I've been working with them for 2 years now, and it's not just peripherals, it's not just PCs. There's so much more that they do. You know, it's not just UK, it's American, Canada, Australia, you know, all around the world. It's just unscathed, really. It's just so much going on.
Yeah, that's it. And as soon as people kind of realize there's this huge audience, and the demographic for the audience is kind of like target for a lot of these companies as well. So finding ways to get into the esports viewership, the audience there, is generally through influencers like Chloe or MZ, or you know, reaching out to John and sponsoring teams and things like that. So, you know, get in touch with these guys if you're a company and you're interested in that. That's kind of step one. And then step two is what happens. How do those companies benefit from that? So, John, could you give us a bit of insight there, please?
Yes, there's a number of ways, I guess, you can sort of for companies to link up and sort of develop that. So we've got teams, we run tournaments, we run events. I think one of the things to sort of touch on with esports is the demographic is this sort of untouched demographic of 16 to 24, which sort of is a generation that come up. I think it's the stat is something like 80% of them not only game now, but also watch other people game and play computer games. So they're watching these tournaments, and like you would have someone watching a football game, someone watching a rugby game, they're watching an esports tournament. And in doing so, then they're seeing brands. So it's kind of like saying, what's the benefit of having any brand sponsoring a football team or watching a rugby team? And I'm sure if anyone watched the Welsh rugby team play, unfortunately, on the with the result on the weekend, but you might have seen Go Compare as one of the sort of sponsors on their back. Now, we all know that sort of company, but the reason why we know is we've just seen it on a rugby shirt. Now, it's nice to see our sponsors. Oggy is also here today, and they're sponsoring that national team of Wales as we're going around the Wales and playing in those tournaments. So it's getting that brand out there, but it's not also getting that brand out there to showcase it from that team. It's also that demographic, which they might not be interested in sport. So we get a lot of players who are interested, but some of those players are not interested in sport, not interested in playing rugby, football, where they're interested, their lives are gaming. So we're selling, well, not just selling, but we're sort of showcasing these businesses really to them and opportunities for that. And it's not really just like we're selling these products, but it's also working with them and sort of building and sort of doing that. And how we can sort of make those steps to sort of close those gaps, and in building those partnerships, we can, like at the moment we're working with Prevent, which is the anti-radicalization policies through the government, and we're working with tournaments through Esports Wales to just make it safer online for people. And in doing so, we're able to reach that demographic. We're kind of going, oh, esports gaming, that's cool, and then sort of passing through the message through those channels and getting them involved in that way.
Yeah, and it's certainly an area where like that kind of level of inclusion needs to be in from the start as well.
Yeah, I think from an inclusive side of things as well, compared into traditional sport, you're looking at sort of rugby and football, where you tend to have gender divides, you tend to have age divides, because you can't, esports, everyone can play at the same level. Yesterday we was in Cardiff at the Children in Need F1 event, and we were seeing sort of ages of sort of 7 or less jumping on their F1 rigs, racing against, sort of their parents then coming behind or grandparents coming behind and sort of racing across the board. So that just showcases the full demographic you can reach through esports and ways you can get people involved.
Yeah, thanks, John. Emma, can you tell us a little bit about how you got to win these medals in international competitions? How did you get into the team in the first place? What was that path?
It's a really difficult process of accidentally finding an Instagram ad and applying and being the only person to apply. And that's it. That's the secret. Just look for an Instagram ad that no one else has ever seen. No, there was a post on Northern Ireland's like business hub that pretty much said we're looking for female gamers in Northern Ireland, and I was like, hey, what's up? Also, I'm trans, is that an issue? Because it's Northern Ireland and it can be. And they're like, no, you're a woman. And I was like, okay, shut up, I'm in. Whatever it is, I play games, I'm in. So I went through, there was a little bit of like qualifying and back and forth to sort of prove a few different things. And then eventually I got invited down to do like headshots and get a mock-up of the kit, and was told it was for the Commonwealth Games. And from there, I got a coach who used to play for Ireland. So he was Southern Ireland's coach or player for like the E-Euros and the E-World Cup. And he basically taught me everything I needed to know about eFootball, because I grew up on FIFA and not PES. And I thought they'd be the same, but they're not. There's a lot of differences. So yeah, he taught me everything I knew. And then from then, I'm a massively competitive person. So once I sort of knew that I was getting the hang of the game, I knew there was no way I was ever going to not try my best to win. And sadly, it was against John.
Was it actually against John himself?
No.
I'm terrible at games.
But John was backstage laughing at me because I was bouncing around the side of the stage, absolutely hyper on like my 5th or 6th monster of the day, listening to A Day to Remember. It was good times. But yeah, from after the Commonwealth was my first launch into esports, which was a complete fluke for me, to be fair. I've always been a gamer, but getting to represent my country was an accident. But once I got to that stage, I did what a few of us have done from the Commonwealth, which was keep putting my name out there, keep going to events, keep networking, and making sure that people knew who I was. People knew that I was in esports for the right reasons, and try to promote diversity in esports and inclusion, and talk about education and careers and jobs and all the fun things that aren't necessarily the glamorous things in esports. Like, no one really, you hear esports and you're like, oh, it's just games, but there's so much more to it, and there's so much more like career opportunities and career aspects you can have to esports, rather than just being an idiot like me that sits and plays games for, I don't know, however long a day.
Don't think you're an idiot, Em.
Oh, I'm a self-confessed idiot, and I'm proud. A good one, though.
So really what we could gather from that is that there are like huge opportunities there, not just for people to get involved with it as a kind of gamer level, but also for the companies as well outside of that.
Can I jump in from the edge?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Sorry, just to jump in from the educational side, just to give you an idea of the size or sort of where it's come from in the last few years in Wales. Out of the 14 colleges, I think there's 8 or 9 of them now deliver a qualification in esports in those colleges. In the last 4 years, they've been delivering those. Funny enough, we was in Cardiff and the Vale College yesterday, and speaking to the lecturers there. This year they have 100 students who signed up to do the esports course. They're looking to develop that forward to have sort of over 150, I think they were saying. And sort of the pathways then to go through esports, not just a qualification, but then also onto a degree or onto those. So you might be going, well, how can you get a qualification in sort of playing games? I think the way to look at it is it's not playing the games, it's the industry around esports. So it's the commentating, it's the sort of video graphic design, social media, TikToks, running your stream teams, managing your stream teams, how to do invoicing, how to do everything around it. So there's a lot of tasks which you're sort of learning transferable skills, which kind of sort of feed into those aspects as well.
Yeah, when we ran our first esport event on Haia, I was amazed by the amount of kind of professionalism that goes into the production of the event itself. So I was kind of expecting just a few people to turn up and us to struggle to put it all together. But these guys came along, they had everything set up, huge production team, they managed all the communications outside of that for the players themselves. And I was just really blown away by the potential opportunities that are not just there within what was in the platform itself, but as you say, John, all of the businesses and the hard work that goes into it, which I think not a lot of people appreciate. There's that much that surrounds esports. Chloe, maybe you could expand on that a little bit and talk about the sort of the hard work that goes into streaming, the challenges you face, and also to bring us back to that point you made earlier. How are you making it more inclusive for women as well, and banging that drum?
God. So, I mean, I've been streaming, like I said, for over 4 years now. I've been doing it for full time for 2 years, and I've managed to build up quite, I'd like to say, an inclusive, friendly community where anybody is welcome, anybody's able to just jump in. So I stream on a platform called Twitch. It's a live streaming platform mainly for games, but it's untapped. You can walk around with a camera out on the street and you can just stream. You can dance, you can just chat, you can do whatever you want to do as long as it follows the rules and the TOS of Twitch. But I mean, like I said, I've been streaming on Twitch for 4 years, and I've managed to just build a platform where anybody is welcome. I'm a massive feminist. I love women. I think I implore all the women to just be able to get on and do what I can and what I've done, because I didn't think at the age of, when I was playing games at 13 and now I'm in my 30s, young 30s, early 30s, that I'd be able to still just be doing this at, I wouldn't say a professional level, but I mean, I'm a professional in terms of being an influencer and playing games, and just, I'd like anybody just to realize their potential. You can just do what I do without having a massive budget. I streamed off of a PC that was a 1050 Ti, which is a budget, £150 graphics card. And then I've kind of built my way up into the working with companies like MSI that provide me with a PC once a year. They give me the latest technology where I'm able to just utilize that to its best ability with me just working with these companies. But I mean, I've got people as young as, the youngest age you're allowed to be on Twitch is 13, but I've got families, and I've got friends of mine that are parents and they have children that are younger than 13 that are so into gaming, and they've realized that it's something that they want to do as they grow up. But obviously streaming on Twitch, you can't actually do that until you're older than 13, but they want to get into it. They want to get into it like a professional level. So it's really getting down to the nitty gritty and realizing, you've still got to be in school. I still encourage everybody to still go to school, get your GCSEs, understand what you actually can do with an education and see where you can fit into the industry, really. I mean, I've got a degree in graphic design, and I use that to the best of my ability. You know, I've picked up a degree and just I can use that and utilize these options that I've had whilst exploring being, you know, a streamer now. 4 years later, love it, and I implore everybody to just try it if you can. It's not for everybody. It's a very scary industry to be a woman and trying to do what I do. I deal with a lot of trolls and a lot of harassment on every platform that I'm on. I'm lucky that I have a community and a family of people that can actually help me, support me, and keep me safe. I've dealt with a lot of harassment and, believe it or not, a lot of stalking, and there's been a lot of dangerous things that happen on the platform. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and I like to make sure that people are aware of that. But I'm doing the best that I can to just show that it might not necessarily be for everybody, but give it a go, and it might be something that you enjoy. There's definitely a place there for everybody to try and fit in.
Yeah,
Cringe, I know.
it's brilliant that you're doing that. Yeah, and the more voices like yours out there giving that message across, the better. So any support you can give at all is needed, isn't it? And
Thank you.
yeah. So Emma, question for you now.
Oh no.
What's your favourite part about esports?
Winning. Obviously, because I'm competitive. No, I mean, winning is definitely one of them. But for me, it's getting to make a difference. Like, I had a pretty stable job, where I earned a pretty good amount of money to work for as a data analyst. But when I seen the difference I could make in esports just by being me, I gave it all away and make a lot less now. But for me, it's definitely being able to help inspire and grow esports and seeing people's faces when they're like, "Oh my God, there's Emma," and I'm like them, you know, or maybe questioning their gender identity or their sexuality, or you know, they haven't seen enough women already doing it, and they're like, "If Emma's doing it, I can do it." And that's the point of why I do most of this stuff, is to help inspire someone else to eventually, not anytime soon, take my place, and then I can just retire on a beach somewhere and be happy.
So, like, in terms of the audience and the people who reach out to you, have you noticed a change over time with that? Has it the demographic changed much?
I think my demographic's always been the sort of same. It's any sort of member of the rainbow family, because I'm very loud and proud about who I am. I mean, after the Commonwealth, instead of raising the Northern Ireland flag on stage, I wore the Pride flag. Didn't go down very well, but that's why we do it. So for me, and then I get to go to a lot of schools and colleges and talk, not just to the kids studying esports, but to anyone in like an LGBT community. So for me, it's kind of always been the same. It's always been like the outcasts that don't quite know where they fit. They see me doing it and be like, "Oh well, I'm kind of just like you in a way, so I'll reach out to you." And outside of that, I get a lot of like businesses will like ask to meet me, and then when they realize they can't sell me something because I'm just a player, it's like I'm a part of a team. They're very much like, "Okay, bye." But I think that's the key thing about esports is everyone in it will very quickly sort of realize if you're authentic or not, and if you're just trying to make a quick bit of money, it's never going to happen in esports. You're going to lose money before you make money.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is the esports community very open to discussion and talking. I found it very easy to reach quite high levels within esports teams or the industry surrounding it, and they're very open. And as long as you don't go in there trying to sort of, as you say, sell something or push something, then genuine kind of building up relationships with people in the esports industry, I think is a lot easier than it was in corporate events, for instance.
I mean, I can't remember what event it was. It was at the start of the year, and it was some guy was trying to sell me like an educational tool which is basically like a blackboard, so you can put like your lectures and stuff. And he was trying to sell it to me, and I'm like, "I just play games." I was like, "What do you want?" And he like sprinted away from me as soon as he found out. And I was like, "You asked me for a meeting? What are you doing?"
Was that on LinkedIn?
No, I think that was a bet through the bet networking app.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced that LinkedIn thing where people drop into your inbox and
That's how we met.
That's exactly how we met. I was that person.
LinkedIn is fantastic, honestly. Like most of my opportunities come from LinkedIn. So like LinkedIn as a professional in esports and a creator brings a lot of value for us because traditionally LinkedIn is your business mindset, but when you see someone colorful and creative, they're like, oh, brighten up my day a little with a picture of your dog or your silly colored hair. And then you want to talk to that person, and then that person turns out to be me.
Yeah, so LinkedIn's obviously a great way to reach out to people in esports, and that's where you start building those connections. But I think key is developing a proper sort of relationship, isn't it? And trust both ways. So when it comes to running Esports Wales, John, what's the biggest challenges or opportunities that you face?
Get the microphone. No, yeah. So there's, I think the way we've developed Esports Wales, we've tried to follow FAW, we tried to follow WRU, and sort of how they've done it in sport. We wanted it to be, the same fan base, the same style, the sort of people going out to your local pub to watch the national computer game being played or esports game being played on the screen. So it's a case of how to build that, and I think there's been a lot of sort of struggles in sort of doing that. Esports isn't considered a sport at the moment in Wales. We're trying to sort of change that in regards to allowing people to have visas to travel to other countries, allowing people to have visas to travel to this country, making sure there's the right sort of, if you're buying insurance and things like that. So there's a lot of benefits of it becoming a sport. And also the government would provide some more funding for us to be able to do what we're trying to do. So a lot of our funding, we're a community interest company or social enterprise. So a lot of the funding which we do have is through grant funding, and then doing so we can make those steps forward and develop it. So there's a lot of volunteer-based activity which we do in Wales, which is where the struggle comes in, because without that funding, without that support, we can't move it to that next level, can't move it to that step where we want to see, our national player, our national team going out, developing, having the right coaching, and then sort of winning for Wales, bringing those trophies back. So it's having those steps, and we're making that progress. But as I said, we're hitting those barriers with sort of funding and getting the word out there, sort of changing those mindsets to not going, oh well, gaming's just that 16-year-old playing in their bedroom. It's realizing that it's a multi-million-pound industry. There is, I was speaking to the Federation of India, and we're speaking about sort of population. So they've got quite a big population in India, and we've got 3.4 million in Wales. So I was speaking about how they run their gaming tournaments, and they said they've got 400 million gamers. So when you think of that comparison to Wales, when they got to run a tournament and they've got 400 million sort of potential gamers, playing in these tournaments, it just shows the size. The prize pools are sort of the prize pool in Worlds, which we played last year, was £500,000. And some of the other tournaments, they're £1 or £2 million prize pools where these players are going out and winning. So it's definitely developing, but it's just showcasing how big it is, and in doing so, hopefully we can get that support to sort of move it and just be more credible. And follow the roots of WRU, follow the roots of FAW, and see if we can build another organisation which can showcase Wales around the world.
And we're here in Wales Tech Week, obviously. So if there's anyone listening or watching who could make it a sport, then let's get it moving. It's recognised all around the world as a sport. It's in the Olympics. It's in the Commonwealth Games. So we're a little bit behind there, I guess, really.
Yeah. So in some cases we've created, this year we created the Welsh Esports League, and we've got people like the Dragons rugby team have a team playing in the Welsh Esports League. We have Cardiff Rugby is linked with Cardiff Pirates, a esports team. We've got Pembroke Puffins, Aberystwyth Artists, Landed No Goats, Wrexham Robins. So there's teams all across Wales which you can link into and sort of watch and see them playing in the Welsh Esports League. So in that case, we're kind of ahead of some countries. But in regards to recognition and sort of looking as a sport, you've got like Sweden is recognized as a sport. You've got Macedonia and a few other countries sort of pushing it and showcasing how they're developing, and those links with government or support forward allows us then to build it and build in the right way so it's safe. You've got those safe pathways it's going through the right way to develop the scene really and develop those players.
Brilliant, thanks, John. Let's get it out there and get it sorted. Sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thank you.
You have any questions? You must have some questions.
Is anyone?
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Since we are in the Tech Week, you talked about attitudes, and do you mind if I ask you?
Yes.
Is it difficult? Is it difficult within the traditional tech world to be taken seriously? Is it difficult, or have you found it difficult? Is it still difficult to be taken as either John or yourself? Yeah. John, first of all, from a business point of view.
Yeah, so from a business point of view, I think it depends on the companies. So when you, Chloe sort of said, so you've got people like MSI, HP, Dell. Dell has like a brand called Alienware, which is a gaming, they're selling these gaming PCs for £2,000. You've got Microsoft. If you talk to Microsoft and look at the recent deal you might have seen on the news recently with sort of Activision and Blizzard and sort of doing that, there's multi-million pound deals. They've got an Xbox. You look at Sony being here. Of course, they've got PlayStation, and you've got those avenues. So from a tech point of view, those business companies know gaming and esports is massive. They're making millions and billions of pounds every year in doing that. I think it's showcasing it from and sort of tailoring some other companies as such, and really sort of changing their mindset to go. It's not just once they've sold that tech. It's showcasing that there's other avenues you can get involved. Headsets, mice, keyboards. It's these days it's everything. Monitors, production software. Like Tom mentioned about sport and sort of the sort of production aspect in the background. The links between esports production and sport production are very similar. And now you're looking at sport these days. You watch any sport, it's all done. There's so much like sort of VR and sort of aspects to it, aspects to it of how they're producing, and you've got the sort of the eagle eye on tennis and things like that. So it's how you can have those digital skills being linked then across to traditional sport or to other industries, and you can develop a lot of these digital skills through esports, through gaming, and sort of linking up with those tech companies.
And what's it like in Wales? Because Wales, people will say the national game is rugby and nothing else. There's soccer, football, obviously. But what's it like in Wales? Is there much room to improve here?
We're definitely, we've showcased, we've got, we had a gold medal, we've had silver medal, we've had bronze medal in the Commonwealth. We was the only team out of the all Commonwealth teams other than the home nation England, which had spots already, to qualify all 6 teams in there. So that shows there's definitely the talent there. But what we're finding is that where with other countries, they're having that coaching, they're having that development to bring those players along. They're having those pathways to come through. With us, we haven't got that structure in place yet to keep them developing. We want to see Wales win everything, same as rugby and football. So it's a case of how do we develop the next generation to come through to develop to be the best players in Wales, and how we can support that.
Emma and Chloe, you said earlier on about having trolls, and Emma, I mean, it must have been a difficult journey, yes, for you personally, especially coming up in Northern Ireland, yes?
Yeah, I mean, I was accused of stealing my Commonwealth medal from women. I was accused of only being trans to have an easier game, and loads of other bigotry crap, excuse my language. But realistically, if you put any of the female esports players that I've played with, if you put any of them against any of the boys, we're just as good, if not better than half of them. So it all comes from the outside esports space once it hits the wider public, and their perceptions on trans people, on the LGBT community, on women. And sadly, a lot of it's sponsorships as well. Like they see the women's esports games as a lesser value of entertainment for some reason. Why that is, who knows? But esports was set up eventually, like traditionally, as a mainly male-dominated sport because more boys played games, right? Okay. Now it's changed that everyone plays games. So it's trying to break that barriers, and we need some sponsors to take a bigger risk on the women's side of events to promote us more, to get us up to the same level so that we can then have mixed leagues for everyone.
What is the balance, Chloe, with girls and boys, as it were? I mean, what needs to be done for more girls to take part in this kind of?
Well, I mean, more people are actually trying it and realizing that the potential is there. Anybody is able to do it. I mean, people as young as 13, younger, are realizing their potential, even younger than 10 years old, realizing that they can actually be a gamer and just do it at a competitive level. I mean, I don't know what age you started playing professionally. Happen. But no, anybody's able to just do what we're able to do. It's not just sitting in front of a computer and just being able to just play a game really well. It's about having that, like, somebody behind you to actually help you, teach you, guide you. And that's why we have esports in colleges and university. And the potential is there. It's just about having people notice you. And obviously, me being a woman in the gaming industry, getting recognized by these companies, it's about actually showing that I have something to offer. Like, I'm not just a woman sitting in front of a computer. I'm actually playing it. I know, like, the insides of a PC. I'm not just a face in front of a camera. I know how to, like, work peripherals. I know how to work a keyboard. I know how to fix it. I can make a PC. I'm not just a face. I'm still a human being. And I think in the industry, like in esports, we are very approachable. It's just actually trying to get your name out there and realize, like, John is a very approachable person. You can speak to him. You can speak to any of us. And it's not just, you can just find our email. You could just go on LinkedIn, and we're just probably a lot easier to get a hold of, just to speak to us and have the conversation. It's just about getting your name out there.
Okay, good. Right, let's have some questions. Anybody? Do we have any gamers here? No? Oh, there's one gamer there. Any questions? Sir, on the front here. Just wait for the microphone and reach you. You can hear your question. Do you have a question as well?
So I think there's a question for all of you, actually. How do you take it to the next level? What kind of resources other than the sponsors? I think we spend a lot of time to talk about sponsors, to business supports, to keep the game going. But what do you actually need? Yeah, and how? Or let's say assuming we are asking the government, get this 50 millions, and how are you going to spend it?
Yeah, so, well, there's a number of things to start off with. It's a case of developing, what we want to do in Wales is we want to develop, like, esports teams. We want to have full they're called orgs, but esports teams or clubs. So it's kind of like, what would you have in Wales if you didn't have those teams, like sort of Cardiff, Wrexham, Swansea, sort of the Cymru leagues, and sort of having those aspects. So what we want first off is those teams and sort of develop that. So we've been working in 2 ways with Wales. One is getting it in schools and colleges, because how big would football and rugby be if it was never played in your school and college? And then the other aspect then is sort of moving on to that. What is the ambition? And it's for us is to either play for a professional team or to play for your country. So what we want to do is give the opportunities for those players to play for Wales in as many opportunities as we can do that. And then the other one is to play for a professional team to do it. So the issues with esports, or some of the issues with it, is that the way it's kind of developed is, unlike sport where you develop locally and you develop your like local club, you play for your school, you play for your local club, you get scouted by your regional club, they'll bring you on, you might get scouted then to play for a professional club and sort of go on. With esports, it's all online. So there's none of that local links. So what we're trying to do with esports is bring that back and bring that local aspect back to towns, playing for your school, and maybe learn about how, what it's like to play in a 5 game, or what it's like to play on stage in a smaller avenue, and develop those opportunities for people to develop. And then in doing so, allows them to end up playing for the country, or get selected or scouted for one of these national teams. So when you sort of say what's needed, it's kind of a case of more support about the academic, more support around changing the narrative. The esports is not about just playing the games, it's about the whole industry around it. It's like those benefits. And then it's the support of sort of that pathway through, support for clubs, support then for the national team. So those players coming through, we can champion the women's team and sort of showcase that is an opportunity. That is a way to sort of move through the pathway. That is a job opportunity for you on a sort of world stage. And we've also got the opportunities to showcase Wales. It couldn't be just like what Chloe does, is showcasing showcasing games, but also sort of going, oh, I've been out in Wales today, or sort of I saw you posting something about Aberystwyth not so long ago on Twitter, doing sort of a walk there. Now, the fan base could be following Chloe for playing the video game, but then they see in Aberystwyth on Twitter and going, oh, that looks really nice. Why not? I might go there for a holiday or visit there. So there's a number of ways we can support and a number of ways to do that. So I think it's not one thing that we just need this. There's sort of multiple layers, and in doing so, then we can sort of grow the scene and sort of grow that pathway all the way through from either path to pro or pathway into the industry to sort of learning it and showing it's not just a case to be esports, but also linking up with traditional sport, linking up with tech, linking up with businesses to kind of go, well, I done the videography today or the sound today, and then maybe the next event they do might be an esports event. And it's the same skill sets, but it's utilizing that in sort of more avenues and development forward.
Okay, John, we have time for one more question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try now.
Now? Is it working now? Yeah?
Yeah.
So this is kind of along maybe the same theme, because you were talking about like the FAW and you just talk about pathways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I suppose, FAW, they're governed by the FAW rules, which come from FIFA, UEFA, whatever. What's the same or the equivalent for you guys? And do you you hoping to have something similar in Wales, or how do you see it working?
So it's a very similar structure. There is globally, there's a bit of a political issue as there's two global bodies. There's the International Esports Federation and there's the Global Esports Federation. Wales is member of the International Esports Federation and British Esports is member of the Global Esports Federation. So yeah, there's a bit of a structure political issue there, but no, yeah. And then also we have the European Esports Federation, which we are members of, and we've already applied, but hopefully in December this year we'll be made full members of that organization. And like you have in sport, we follow their lead such, and then we sort of have partnership deals with them and sort of work to develop educational links or sort of tournaments and things like that. So it's a very similar structure with that, but it's just a case of at the moment there's two sort of global ones fighting it out, and one of those will win at some point, I assume. But yeah, we will join. Yeah, we will join sort of the whatever's the sort of main body we can and sort of swap for.
Okay, Guy.
Yeah.
You can have a chat. We're going to have to finish it there. Thank you so much. Before you leave the building, can I ask you to check out the Growth Clinic? It's just around the corner there. They're asking for people to come and join them. But what a fascinating panel discussion that was. I've learned so much. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, all four of you. A round of applause.